channel on this Wednesday, August 28th. Just got back from McDonald's. Just felt like having a quarter pounder with cheese, Deluxe. Collector's meal. They have collector meals now. Large fry. And I got an apple pie, so the total was $13.90. McCafe. Napkins. Okay. Large Coke. So, not really feeling any effects of being sick at all. But then today, sort of had sinus pressure again. And right now, it's sort of like I've gone up in a plane and I'm waiting for my ears to pop. I actually feel like I could eat 2 of these, and my stomach agrees with me. Ketchup. That's another classic with kings and queens that gets into an argument with his father-in-law about the pronunciation of ketchup. Please pass the ketchup. You mean the ketchup? Ketchup. a lot of mayo on this. There weren't any bad fries this time. A little hot and humid today, but then now it's really cooled off. Get really big fluctuations between daytime temperatures and night temperatures now, approaching September. I think this is the let's see, one day I take my air conditioner out. Well, it's probably a week and a half now. I know a lot of people have higher electric bills, but mine was $160, I think. And it's usually around 85 maybe. You know, it's funny, I'm watching these videos on London nightlife. And it's raining and it's cold, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought they were having like a heat wave. Evidently summer didn't arrive this year. They're still waiting for it. And it talks about how they had a heat wave last year. And I'm like, wow, I wonder how hot it got. They had a high of 86 degrees. That's what they considered a heat wave. see that story on, I don't know, was it in Iceland? I don't know where it was. They had an ice cave collapse. And I've seen videos of people going into those, ice caves. And I'm like, okay, let's go into a cave made out of ice that's actively melting. And the stuff is hanging from the top. And then it's just waiting for, sounds and man-made disturbance to set it off. Never thought that was a good idea. I don't care how many Instagram pictures I'm going to be getting. I'm not going into a cave made out of ice that's melting before my eyes. Just thinking of a story I have, and I was looking at the building associated with the story on Google Maps. It's still there, but it's now a Northeastern University. I think it's like just an administrative building. So, I used to work at this security, what would it be called? Camera. I don't think they made security systems. I think it was all video, camera installation. And maintenance. They had contracts, people contracting to maintain their security system, surveillance cameras, like for banks or manufacturing plants or something like that. So I was working with this guy. I just started. And he's like, come on, we're going out on the road, which we did quite frequently. And he says, you'll find this interesting. So there's a building on Huntington Ave. I don't think this is considered doxing. If you want to look at the building on Google Maps, I think it was number 10, Huntington Ave in Boston. And it was this, like, late 60s or I'm guessing 70s modern looking building, and all glass and steel up in the front. I think it's like 3 So it's just an address. There's nothing identifying what's at this location. There's no business name. And we have a van we pull into. That's how I identified the building to see if it was still there. Remember the two alleyways on either side of the building. So when we pull in, I think we pulled in on the right side, and I could look in the windows. And on the first floor, there was like publishing going on or something like that. I just remember sort of like an assembly line and people boxing stuff up, maybe. So what it was is that it was one of these, so this was like in 1987, 88, something like that. And it was one of these financial success through Jesus Christ ministry type of things. But never heard of them. You know, we didn't have cable TV. And this guy was down south, like in the Carolinas or Georgia or something like that. And that was completely on purpose. They wanted to do all of their, you know, business where people didn't know who they were. So up here in the north, in Massachusetts, so they had all the products they sold, like books, and of course everything was VHS. Was up in this building, and they shipped it out from this building, I guess. And the guy that was the gotta excuse me, we got a high pollen count. I see that on the weather forecast, but I've never had allergies. I didn't think I had allergies, but I get like itchy eyes, and then I started getting a tickle again today. And anyways, so we were there to install what they call, it was just a fancy switch to switch between two cameras, and they were charging some outrageous price for this thing. We just built it ourselves real quick in the lab. And we go in the lobby, and it's all just a closed lobby with the cameras that the company I was working for installed. And we get buzzed in. We go upstairs, I think. Yeah, the guy was at the top, excuse me, floor, on the right-hand side, overlooking Huntington Ave. And he had a treadmill in there, really, like 70s style office, all, they call it postmodern or whatever. And they had a microwave link up to a camera down at Kenmore Square at a bank that he could. So this religious organization, very paranoid, and has cameras watching everybody, which I thought was kind of ironic. So we installed this switch so he could switch between cameras in this building and the cameras that they had it's a bank, but I'm sure it was a different bank back then. I don't remember the name. So we had to go into, they had, it wasn't just camera feeds that, real time. They recorded, so we had these VHS industrial recorders, commercial grade. So we had to maintain those too. And once we got through installing that equipment, we went down to the location that was in Kenmore Square. So I thought this was unusual because I never thought about this combination. So we go into the bank. So we're in the bank proper, and there's the row of tellers. So we go through the bank to the back, and then there's a camera on a blank door, and we press a buzzer, and a second later we get buzzed in. So we go through that door, and in the back, it's just a strange combination where they have a bank, and then in the back they were counting all the donations from this ministry that people were sending in. So if you can picture this, there were all these women sitting around at tables, and I noticed they have smocks on. They have like this apron on that they're wearing, that it's like it's like the gowns you get at the hospital, where you put it on and the slits in the back or whatever, but they put this apron on without any pockets. So that way it makes it difficult for the person counting the money to put money into their pockets or into their clothing. And it was just a weird concept, because I'm thinking, okay, a bank is a bank. There's not another business operating within the bank. And so I don't know if you contract with the bank and this was a service they provide, like accounting service type of thing, to count their money. So the mail carriers have those big bins that they have, that they use. Well, they had stacks of these bins, and they'd have, the women were just sitting there, and they were opening up all these envelopes and shaking out the money and the checks. I remember cash too. And then whatever the correspondence was, this is the thing. It was an eye-opener. The correspondence was just thrown aside. So people are writing in with, I think, what they have is they ask for, if you donate, you send in a prayer, or you ask for a prayer, or, and because I've seen it on TV before. So people are writing in about their problems and donating and hoping that, they'll have a miracle in their lives. And this stuff was just discarded. So everything is being paid, all the checks and everything's being organized. And as soon as one bin is, they take out the stuff from the bin and disperse it among all the different women that were counting. And they're just opening stuff up. So I had to get up on a ladder and like make sure all the cameras were still in focus and operating. And the guy I was working with, the technician, he's telling me make sure we have these little, back then it's solid state, but there's still a tube for the television monitor. So we have these little monitors. He says make sure the people don't see what angle these cameras are observing, so that way they don't know if there's any dead spots, that aren't being monitored, which I thought was interesting. So I'm up on a ladder, and I'm making some adjustments on the contrast or focus on a camera, and all of a sudden I hear a woman go, "Money on the floor." Oh, and there were several people that were just walking around, watching everyone as envelopes were opened. So this woman goes, "Money on the floor." And this other person goes, "Okay, pick it up." And I just had him standing there on the ladder. And I had like this flashback to Cool Hand Luke. Because I think there's some scenes like in that where he has to ask permission from the guard or the boss to do something, every time they go to do something. They have to ask for permission. Sorry, the camera turned off. But yeah, I thought I was in this movie about, a chain gang. That's it, like in a chain gang. I remember there's some movie, I think it's Cool Hand Luke. And they're in a chain gang on the side of the road. And somebody asked for permission for a water break or something like that. Before you could do anything. And it was an eye-opener. It was just very strange. Mind you, this is a so-called religious organization. But I saw how quickly all these envelopes were being opened, and whatever the correspondence was promptly disposed of, and all the money was quickly counted and organized. And then the workers that they had were like a chain gang, and they had almost like guards just walking back and forth watching everyone. And then they had these aprons on, so they wouldn't be easy to you'd have to go around the back or something like that. I'm sure they had sort of a dress code too. We had to limit the pockets, or couldn't have your purse next to you. I'm sure they had them away in another area or something like that. You have to ask for permission to go into your purse or something. We went to a place in Connecticut once, another out in the middle of nowhere, nondescript building. We go in, I think we get x-rayed, we get scanned, we can't bring certain things in, I think we have to take our shoes off. And it was a place that made gold coins. And I went in there and I'm like, there was just like 20-foot long, they're not called bars, but these like, wide enough to stamp out a coin. Gold, I know what you would call it. It was the raw material for stamping out, gold coins. They run them through a machine and these things get stamped out. And I remember somebody explaining to me, like, even like if you had a big pen that people would hide little pieces of gold within the pen cap. So the security is very high. They don't want to advertise what they do or where they're located. That's why it's out in the middle of nowhere. To have a type of industry like that. And again, we were there to adjust the cameras, to do some maintenance. But I don't know, I was thinking that anything having to do with gold coins, or minting, was something just the federal government did. But maybe what they do is they contract out to other companies. But you have to have very high security, you know. I never seen it. I must have been near more gold than I ever be around in my life. I can't imagine how much gold they had. There was I just remember these long, flat, 20-foot long, raw, I know what you would call them, metal, gold, beams. I don't know what they would call that. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, the building is now Northeastern Administration building. I gotta go online and find out. I don't know how I'd research who that ministry was. Well, people think of advances in technology mostly with their PCs at home, but across the board it's amazing. Anywhere from woodworking to like I said, cameras. Now you get these huge 12 megapixel cameras I'm looking at for doing an Arduino project, making my own security camera. And it's this little thing. They have some really nice new concept out where it's just the sensor with all the supporting electronics, and then there's a whole kit you can get for lenses. And they have autofocus on them too. You can get them so you can get night vision. Yeah, the vacuum tube camera sensor on these cameras, they used to be about this long. They just looked like it was long, but it was just like a vacuum tube you would find in vacuum tube electronics. It had all the prongs on the side, on the back that you plugged. It was like the cathode ray tube and a TV. It's more accurate, but it had the sensor on the front. So instead of displaying an image, it was able to see the image of the world and convert it back into electronic signals. Of course, it had to have a heater on it too. And if it had a heater on it, it had to have a bigger power supply. about to tell this story because it's not a very good story. I was just thinking about it again. I was thinking about how old I must. I was either 7 or 8 years old. I was either right in first grade or second grade. In fact, I thought about it when I was going through the drive-thru at McDonald's or Route 1. Somebody must have, people just can't judge distances. I don't know how many times I've got like a half a mile between me and a guy that's pulling onto Route 1 and to get in front of me. And time again, the person waits like until there's like, 5 car lengths in front of me and him to pull out onto Route 1 right in front of me. So somebody must have done that to a big semi, and then the guy in the truck just leaned in on the horn there and just let that horn blow for like a half a mile. Somebody must have, people think, oh, they could just stop on a dime. Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out what year it was. I don't think I was thinking it might have been the second grade, because that's when Bobby Kennedy got shot. And I remember that teacher. And I came in like the next day. You're 8 years old or something like that. The TV's on, but you don't pay attention to news. It doesn't have the same meaning as to an adult, So I remember going in and saying, is Bobby Kennedy okay? And I remember her telling me that he didn't make it. She was very upset that day. I can't remember who my teacher was in first grade. Oh, you know what? I just realized. You have group pictures. And the teacher is in those group pictures in elementary schools. I gotta go see if I can find those. But, talking about how certain things kids can't grasp. Down the street there used to be, they must have been, I think they went to Catholic school. I think that's why I don't remember these 2 boys in elementary school. I'm pretty sure they were Irish. But it costs money to go to Catholic school. But I have no memory of these. There were 2 twin boys. Identical twins, I think. I didn't hang with them. So I think I was older maybe. Or they went to Catholic school. But I remember them, the twins, because I walked by their house every day, going to elementary school. like any other day. I got out of school. I might have got out of school late for some reason. And I was walking home. And as I go up Main Street, to Main Street, we had the crossing guards too. But on the left-hand side of Main Street, there's a semi-truck pulled over. And there's a lot of commotion. And at the back wheel, next to the curb, there's a sheet that has been put down. And a bicycle. And I just look, and as I cross the street, it just happened. It just happened. This woman comes running out of the house because they were just like, I think they tore down those two houses while I was a kid. They were like 2 houses away from Main Street. And I think that was the mom. She came running out of the house. And I just kept walking. And I went home. I probably mentioned it to my mom that something happened. I knew what happened, but I have no recollection of it, like, you know, water, like that old saying, water off of a duck's back. Pretty sure I mentioned it to my mother, of course, and I don't recall what I would have said. I don't even think I experienced my first death experience yet. I think my grandmother was, yeah, she was still alive. Oh, I don't know, I got conflicting ideas on that. My parents had me go to my grandmother's funeral. And, I don't know when that was. Maybe I was 10 years old, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Your first funeral, I don't know. It should be like an option or something. I know it's maybe a learning moment for life lesson or something, but I don't know. Did not particularly enjoy that, of course. That's a famous line from Archie Bunker, from All in the Family, where Archie's having a conversation about a relative that has passed away, I think, or one of his buddies from work. And Archie says, I'm not like most people. He's like, funerals bother me. So that other twin, if he's still alive, be in his 60s. And I still occasionally, when I walk by that, I think about that. Have you ever seen? It's really a fascinating concept. Not a concept, just a great idea. Is where I've seen these videos where people take historical sites or photographed historical events and then have like a side by side of what it looks like today, matching up with the historical photograph. Like, of course, World War II. So you'll have these famous pictures, historical pictures of soldiers fighting, and they'll like superimpose what it looked like, you know, the black and white historical photo, and what it looks like today. You really get a sense of the history that has unfolded at that location. Wow. Is that another 20 minutes that have gone by? I better call it quits. So thanks everyone for stopping by. Yeah, that last story is kind of a bummer, but that's something that, yeah. And it's just weird thinking about. I just went on. I'm sure, you know, back then, my mom would have probably immediately got on the phone and talked to the neighbor or her friend. And all the moms immediately probably, you know, organized something. We didn't go to any, I don't remember. Like I said, I didn't know these people. And I'm not even certain if my parents knew them. I was even thinking of calling the library, local library, to see if everything that they used to have on like microfilm, microfiche has been transferred to digital. I wonder if you could access that online. Do a little research. See if I can find that event, a tragic event, in the local paper around 1968, 1967. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. That was a McDonald's cheeseburger deluxe and fries, and don't even remember the apple pie. I went by too quick. The large Coke. Thanks for your continued support and comments. Thanks for using the Amazon affiliate link in the description. And until next video, everyone, thanks for watching. Bye.